Welcome to my channel. I'm Angelic Alchemy, and this is Unmasking Spiritual Deception, Liberation from Witchcraft and Narcissism. So this is going to be episode 18. It's kind of a impromptu episode. I wasn't planning on doing this episode today or in this way. I actually started writing something. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it exactly. But it went in a different direction, and I was led to make it into an episode. So, this is going to be my letter to my divine masculine, my twin flame, my divine counterpart, the person who shares the same energetic blueprint of the soul as me. And currently, for all intents and purposes, we are not in communication, any kind of, meaningful communication. We aren't able to, speak from the heart. We can't get on the same page. So I am going to share with you, this thing that I wrote. So, without further ado, let's get into it. You are me, and I am you. This is episode 18, my divine masculine. So much has been lost in translation because for such a very long time, we haven't been on the same page. Our frequencies were not anywhere close to alignment. And even though there have been endless words spoken and the deepest of emotions expressed, it seemed like we could not both open our hearts to each other at the same time. Unfortunately, most of this was due to our traumatic childhood conditioning, although I don't think that either of us fully understood at the time that our childhood was traumatic, which just added to all the confusion. And of course, destructive outside influences had a huge part to play. Because we did not fully understand ourselves, we could not have possibly understood what was transpiring around us. We were both raised under the illusion that people were inherently good. We were told that monsters weren't real and that life was black and white, cut and dry, that we had certain things that were expected of us as adults, or humans even, and that we were not to question those things. We were taught that speaking up for ourselves was rude, and that questioning societal norms was unacceptable. You go to school, get good grades, don't get in trouble, follow the rules, don't stand out too much, don't talk back, don't have opinions that oppose how everyone else thinks. And if you do, you're wrong. No discussion, you're just wrong. Now go back to doing whatever it is that society says you're supposed to be doing right now in life, even if it makes you so depressed that you'd rather just jump off a cliff and end it all now. We were surrounded by people who didn't know how to deal with their own feelings and emotions, and absolutely could not handle other people's, which is rather unfortunate for someone who feels everything so very deeply. The same problem present in two very different environments, which resulted in very different coping mechanisms. One learned how to suppress their emotions, stuffing them down and pretending like they didn't exist, numbing them out in any way they could, self-soothing, and pretending that they didn't feel things was the only way they knew to survive. The other discovered that feeling angry felt much better than feeling that deep sadness, that soul-crushing, emotional pain that seems to swallow you whole until you're lost in a sea of despair and you can't find a reason to even make it to the next day. If you know that feeling, then you know there's nothing worse. When you're still developing and you have no one to help you and guide you through that kind of emotional depth and pain, what are you supposed to do? Survival kicks in. Your ego defense mechanisms do what they do best. They help you survive. If you try to talk to someone about how you feel and you're dismissed, or worse, you're told you're being dramatic, you need to suck it up, no one else is crying or sad all the time, everyone else seems to be able to deal with things in life just fine, they don't know why you can't, what your problem is, you will begin to think there's something wrong with you. that you must be the problem. You're broken. And this false narrative suits those around you just perfectly. Because whether we are talking about mildly narcissistic individuals who simply lack the capability to understand their own emotions and their own needs, and therefore could not possibly begin to understand yours, not that they ever took the time to try and understand either, or extremely narcissistic individuals who are so selfish that they see their child as an extension of themselves to use for clout and praise, rather than a living, breathing human being who has wants and needs and that requires guidance and love. The result is the same. Your emotions are too much. Your needs are too much. You are taught that you are bad or selfish to have needs, desires, boundaries, or opinions that are inconvenient or uncomfortable for them. So we adopt these extremely toxic coping mechanisms that are guaranteed to cause severe emotional issues for us later on down the road. But how would we know that? And what could we do about it, even if we had? Now, all of this would have been bad enough. These hurdles and obstacles would already prove to be challenging to overcome in order to have a healthy, functional, reciprocal relationship as an adult. But that's not even close to the worst part. Because had that been all that we were up against, I believe that we would have made it. We would have struggled, sure. But in the end, I think our deep desire to be loved, seen, understood, and appreciated for who we were would have won overall. But while we were working on overcoming these deep-seated challenges rooted in the emotional trauma from the neglect and abandonment wounds that we weren't even aware that we had, we were also being intentionally sabotaged by the people around us who we would have never even imagined capable of doing such a thing. We were targeted, attacked, outnumbered, and outmaneuvered in a game we didn't even know that we were part of. While we were busy falling deeply in love with each other and getting lost in visions of our future together, the one that both of us had always wanted and deeply longed for, whether we knew it or not, we didn't notice the jealousy and the envy that was being incited in everyone around us. And honestly, even if I had, I would have never imagined that anyone would behave in such a way because of it. Especially the ones who were supposed to have our best interests at heart and care about our well-being. The people who were meant to support and guide us as we were learning to navigate the challenges of life. The people who claimed to, quote, love us. Never could I have imagined what had been transpiring around us, which is part of why it was so very confusing, and why it allowed them to pull off this whole covert operation right under our noses. In his case, weaponizing the very emotional wounds and trauma that they themselves had inflicted. In my case, doing intense research on me to figure out what made me tick, delving into the deepest parts of my childhood, my life, gathering intel on my past trauma, my hopes, my fears, everything, in order to use it to play us against each other, exploiting our emotional wounds and childhood trauma in a way that was certain to make us to go to war against each other. The whole thing is so unbelievably evil, I still have a hard time trying to wrap my head around it sometimes. But I've stopped trying to understand why these people did what they did on a humane or emotional level. Because, quite frankly, there is very little humanity to be found in it. And the only emotions I can seem to detect in any of this whole operation that they launched are jealousy, greed, envy, and a desire to destroy what is beautiful. And as I cannot relate to any of these emotions personally, I was forced to eventually view this situation from a strictly logical standpoint of an individual who lacks empathy and compassion or understanding towards others. Without understanding those key points, one cannot possibly begin to unravel the intricate web of betrayal, lies, and deceit that we had found ourselves trapped in. I'm not going to get into the mechanics of the sinister scheme that all these individuals work together to deploy behind the scenes. Not right now, anyways. Because my current intention is not to cut open old wounds and cause more pain than we have already been subjected to. There will be a time and a place, perhaps, to understand the exact manner in which these individuals were able to slowly turn us against each other and make us think that we were one another's worst enemy. But it's not right now. My current intention is to address the higher perspective that I have gained on this whole extremely heinous situation that we were unwillingly and unknowingly thrown into, with the sole intention of making sure that we would not be able to fully love each other or to be happy together. The plan, the tactics, and the intent behind them are nothing but pure evil. Perhaps some of these individuals did not fully grasp the severity of their actions and the results that they would bring. Maybe some of these people convinced themselves that they were, quote, helping, or they, quote, knew better. But for the most part, these people knew exactly what they were doing. It didn't make them feel good to see someone else being truly happy and finding the love that they did not believe was possible for them. And so they wanted to destroy it. Honestly, when I started writing this, I was not even planning on going into the story as deep as I have. I intended to explain how I understood what happened, how I understood how you could have gotten off the path, and how it all snowballed from there on out. I wanted to tell you that even though you probably don't think there's any way that I could ever understand why you did the things that you did, and how you could have fallen so far from the man that I fell so deeply in love with all those years ago, I understand a whole lot. I wanted to tell you that despite all of it, the lies, the deception, sneaking, the betrayals, the plotting, planning, scheming, terrible things that were done with seemingly no good explanation as to why you would have treated anyone that way, least of all, the person who fully loved and accepted you for who you are, the one who never gave up, never stopped trying to help you and love you no matter how hard you pushed me away, and didn't reciprocate my energy. No matter how many times I was hurt, neglected, undervalued, mistreated, rejected, abandoned, etc. I still tried to show you that I really did love you, that I really did see you, and that I meant it when I said that I would never stop trying and I would never give up as long as you didn't either. And even after it was quite obvious that you had given up, at least on what our vision was and what you said you wanted, I still tried. I tried until it almost killed me, and then I tried some more, until I had no more reason to try. Until I was absolutely certain that I was the only one trying, and that I was the only one who was ever going to fight for us. And then that's when I finally had to admit defeat. I'm stubborn. I didn't want to see it. And there's a common misconception among others involved, and possibly still you, that I was dumb. I didn't see what was going on. I didn't understand. I was naive, whatever the narrative is. But none of that's true. I understood quite clearly what was happening, but I also understood that God told me who you were and who I was to you, and that you needed help, that you needed someone to stand for you, and that you were going to break free from this and become who I always saw you to be. Now, I had no idea how long this would be, how hard I would fight, and what I would go through in the process, and I believe that's for a reason. If God would have told me that from before, from the get, then I probably would have said, F that. But God knows what he's doing. He reveals exactly as much information as we need at the time, and no more. And while sometimes that absolutely infuriates me, at the end, when I look back and see the bigger picture, I can see all the pieces come together, and I can see what he was doing. And I understand. So, putting that aside, I fought, and I didn't want to see the truth, not the whole truth. I am completely stubborn, just like you. I blamed everyone else and everything else until I had nothing else that I could blame but myself. It was me who didn't want to admit the truth. It was me who didn't want to see things for what they were. It was me who kept holding on to the illusion of the life that I wanted, even when everything around me was telling me that there was no way it would ever happen. So I let go. I gave up. I didn't want to, and I was upset about it. I was mad. I was hurt. I was offended. I was indignant. My ego was unbelievably wounded. I sat in my pain for a long time, which made me more mad. I went back and forth between the deep emotional pain and the indignant anger that I felt completely justified in feeling. How could he do this to me? How could he lie like that? How could he think I was that stupid? How could I be that stupid? I've wasted all this time. I've put in so much effort. I've tried so hard for so long. I did everything I could. Me, 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 me. I. I was mad at myself. I was mad at God. I was mad at you. I was mad at everyone. But being mad got me stuck. Stuck in my pain. Stuck in my offenses. Exactly where the enemy wanted me. Exactly where the enemy wants us. The enemy will keep us trapped in every offense, every heartbreak, trauma, betrayal, and lie. He wants us to replay them over and over in our head, so we stay stuck there and never leave. When you stay trapped in your pain, stuck in a prison of your past mistakes, your what ifs, your how could they have done this to me, it robs you of your joy. It robs you of your ability to see the bigger picture. It robs you of your ability to heal, learn, grow, and move on. Steal, kill, destroy. The enemy has many different tactics, but they all have the same intended results. Rob you of your joy and your peace. Steal your joy, your peace, kill your passion, your motivation, and your belief in the ability to create a life where you're experiencing joy and peace. Destroy your future and your destiny. If he can keep you trapped in what that person did to you, how messed up it was, how bad it hurt, how you never want to experience that kind of hurt again, you are robbing yourself of the life that you have always dreamed of. When we dwell in these lower level emotions, we rob ourselves of the capability to obtain clarity and see things from a higher perspective. Jealousy, envy, greed, ego, revenge, pride, stubbornness, selfishness, embarrassment, shame, guilt, etc. These are all lower level emotions, and they are also lower level entities. Dark entities that feed off these destructive emotions in the loops of trauma that they keep you stuck in. If we decide to stay in these cycles and keep replaying these same emotions and the coping mechanisms we use to deal with them, we can stay stuck down there forever, which is exactly what the enemy wants. Even with my knowledge of this fact, I still had an extremely hard time breaking free from this karmic trap. Sometimes I still can get triggered, but I'm actively working on healing these triggers, and I can see consistent progress congruent with the amount of effort that I put forth to do so. I finally can see what God has been trying to show me all along. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers and the rulers of darkness, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Meaning, that person who did all of those extremely hurtful and emotionally painful things wasn't actually you or them. They are unhealed wounds, pain, and spiritual doors that allow these dark influences to act through them. We are called to forgive others, not because what they did wasn't wrong or harmful to us, but because we recognize the deeper battle that is at play. Forgiveness releases us from bitterness and allows us to rise above the trap of division and retaliation, so we can then heal, grow, and ascend. I didn't want to forgive you because I felt that I was justified in being mad at you, which I still would have to agree that I am. I didn't want to forgive you because I didn't think it was fair that you would do all of those terrible things to me and not even really apologize for it. I didn't want to forgive you because you hadn't even really put any effort into doing anything to fix it. And since I didn't want to forgive you, I couldn't properly pray for you either. I would from time to time, but my whole heart wasn't in it. Me being trapped in my emotions of pain, heartache, and offense was causing me to not see the bigger picture, which is that you are not some terrible person who set out to hurt me because you enjoy inflicting pain on me, but you are someone who has their own pain that others have inflicted onto them, and the unconscious programming and severe manipulation and sabotage that you have been subjected to was and is causing you to not see things clearly, including me and yourself. And also, that I am the only one who is going to pray for you to be set free. I am the only one who's able to help you see this for yourself. I am the only one who's going to help you fight this unseen battle that you have going on for your soul, your mind, and your destiny. If you don't even know that's what's happening, then you sure can't defend against it. So I decided to start fighting again. I decided to consciously choose to see you for who you are. Although in our current circumstances, you are not choosing to embody that person, and so I must keep my physical distance from you. But I will continue to do everything in my power to help you get back to who you truly are. I will love you and believe in you from afar. I will pray for you to be set free and delivered out of bondage. I will wage warfare on those who are casting illusions, using witchcraft, and colluding with the most evil energies that you can imagine in an attempt to keep you stuck and not to be set free. And I will win, because I have God, and God always wins. I know that one day these people will all be removed, and you will see everything for what it is. You will understand who you really are, and it will all turn out to be worth it in the end. And maybe I'll write another segment on who I see you as, which is what I was planning on doing when I sat down to write this. But sometimes we have an intention to do one thing, and life takes us in an unexpected direction. Until then, just know that I see you. I see your heart, the real you, the one that you pretend isn't real, the one that others try so hard to convince you isn't real. I know what your heart actually yearns for, because my heart longs for it just as much. You are me, and I am you. We share the same energetic soul blueprint. We have the same purpose, the same path, which we are meant to walk together as equals and partners. And until your heart is ready to recognize that, and your soul is crying out so loud that you can no longer deny it, I will be praying for you, standing for you, and believing that you will defeat all of this, and break free from all of the chains that stop you from being everything that you're meant to be, and achieving everything you're meant to achieve. My love for you is unconditional and eternal. There's no power of this world or any other world that can separate my soul from yours. We are one soul in two bodies. And as unbelievable and insane as that sounds, I know this to be true. All is not lost. You are not hopeless or broken. You are simply waking up. And that is the hardest part. It's all downhill from there. And it all starts with a genuine desire to see the truth. Not what it looks like, not what you're told it is, but what your soul knows it to be. And until then, I will pray for you. I will fight for you, and I will love you, even though in appearance it might seem that I'm not doing so. I am. I never stopped. I got lost for a little while, but in my soul, where the truth is, I've always known who you are, and I've always known what you're going to be. Now, you just have to see it. So, I'm going to end this here, because that's all I wrote. So, I will be back shortly with something else. I can't even tell you what that'll be at this point. It'll be a surprise for both of us. So, until then, stay prayed up. Love yourself. Love each other. God loves you. I love you. And I hope y'all have a great day.